following is a presentation of Main Street Media, your source for news, sports, and information on Main Street in Middle Tennessee.
Welcome back to the Main Street Preps North show. My name is Brady McAtamney, back after missing a week. That is my co-host, Blaine Kellar. Blaine, how are we doing today?
I think I'm feeling a little bit better than you. It still sounds like you're on the come down there from being out last week, but it's great to have you back, Brady. It's great to have some good weather going on in Nashville too.
That's right. That's our abbreviated weather report for today. Obviously, we got a lot to talk about here with football playoffs starting up this week. And one team that is in the playoffs this week, the Clarksville Wildcats, hosting a playoff game for the first time since 2018. And we're talking to their head coach today, Isaac Shelby. Isaac, how you doing today?
Pretty good. How's it going, fellas?
We're doing great. So like I said, this is your first home playoff game since 2018. This class of seniors, it'll be their first home playoff game. Just how exciting is it to be able to have playoff football coming to CHS?
Oh, it's pretty neat. You know, it has been 5 years. It's been a long time. And I remember last home playoff game we had, Davin was actually our ball boy on the sideline running around in like eighth grade. So it's pretty neat. Everyone's real excited about it.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool thing to be able to have that, especially for these seniors, you know, getting potentially one last football game at home. I know you guys love that field, love taking care of it. I've actually seen a Twitter account for the football field pop up lately. What's up with that? Someone personifying the Jay Richardson field.
Yeah, that one was interesting. Can't quite figure that one out. We were all a little shocked when we I think it was like Monday or something. We all saw like, what in the world is this? But I don't know. I just want the kids having fun.
Yeah, gotta have some fun. The way you guys got here, though, is getting 2 wins over Sumner County schools this year after not getting any wins against them last year. That's something that we talked about after the beach game is, you know, Montgomery County schools kind of inability to beat those Sumner County schools. But there you guys go, beating Hendersonville, beating Gallatin by multiple scores each time. How much of progress do you think that shows that your guys have made?
I mean, I think it's tremendous progress. I know last year Hendersonville probably could have beat us by 100 points if they wanted to. You know, there's just really good football in Sumner County. You know, our kids realized that last year, and they worked really hard in the offseason. And you know, we were able to beat 2 of those teams this year, which was really big for our program.
Yeah, Coach, you guys face off. You host Overton in the first round of the TSSAA Playoffs this Friday. And it's another metro school. And kind of, I know that we talked earlier in the season. The reason that you guys schedule someone like McGavick, for example, in that first week was to be prepared for that metro speed and kind of the things that they bring as, you know, a citywide kind of program. Do you see any similarities between McGavick and Overton going into this game?
Yeah, I do. You know, and that is why we schedule those games. You know, like McGavick and Maplewood help you see that. You know, just really athletic. You know, bunch of kids. You know, the linemen are faster, the linebackers are faster. Just everybody's faster. You know, kind of have to see that to kind of prepare for it. You know, but you know, I think Overton's an outstanding team. I think Coach Broom does a really good job. You know, it should be a fun one Friday night, I think.
Yes, I'm curious what you have seen on film so far from Overton. I know they run kind of an old school look with the fullback. I'm curious, what are your impressions of them, and what are some keys that you guys have kind of looked at to hopefully get the victory?
Yeah, I mean, you know, they do some of that. They do some other stuff too, but you know, the back's obviously really good. They've got some receivers that can really run. The quarterback can throw it. You know, they're kind of they're a complete team. You know, they tackle you well. They're real aggressive. You know, it's definitely going to be a fun game Friday night because I think Overton's really, really good.
Coach, I know that my co-host here has looked at the bracket a little bit, and he seems pretty confident in your guys' ability not only to win this first round game, but maybe to make it past that with a rematch against maybe Cane Ridge, a team that you guys upset in the postseason last year. How focused are you guys just on this game? Have you looked beyond that bracket at all?
Yeah, we're just worried about today. We're kind of focused on Thursday right now. So, we'll take care of today, and then put our heads down and wake back up in the morning and worry about Friday. But you get in the playoffs, everybody's good, and you start taking people for granted. Then the result is usually what the result is. You start looking ahead in brackets and stuff. We're super worried about Overton. Want our kids to play good Friday night. I gotta get them practice good today, so we'll kind of see how that goes.
How much of a difference do you think the playoff experience that your guys have? How much do you think that means? This senior class, they haven't missed the playoffs yet, and of course haven't lost in the first round yet. How much of an impact do you think that has for these guys coming in and playing, as seniors in the playoffs?
I think it's huge. I think the first, when I first got here, we lost to Shelbyville. And then the next year, we had a really good team, and then ended up forfeiting some games on an ineligible player. And then the next year we lost to Mumford, and after that we've kind of gone on a little streak of having success. But I think it's just one of those things you got to be in it to win it, So.
Coach, I got an interesting one for you here. A lot of the past 2 or 3 years, I'd say, even with his injuries, kind of been focused on Davin Garinger, a quarterback that's picked up a lot of attention. But you guys have really focused, especially down the stretch of this season, on the run game. How has he kind of adapted to that, being a quarterback that can throw the ball and has had success and has had colleges look at him throughout his career, but really be dedicated to that run game and the success of the team?
Yeah, they play good team ball, and Davin wants to win. Jamar wants to win. The rest of the seniors want to win. So they're going to do whatever it takes, and they understand that. And, the rest of it, I've told them multiple times, like, I'll take care of the rest of it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, I'll take care of that part. You guys win on Fridays. That's your job. And these guys are, they're really good at compartmentalizing that.
A lot of trust between coaches and players there, and I'd say so far this year you guys have got a reason to trust each other. Going 7-3 now, hosting a playoff game, including 5 wins in a row. Do you think that you guys have a little bit of mojo now, having all those wins in a row, including wins over Hendersonville, Northeast, and Gallatin?
I don't know. I don't really believe in that, to be honest with you. What happened 5 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago doesn't really make a difference. It's just kind of week by week.
Hey, fair enough. Isaac Shelby, head coach of the Clarksville Wildcats. We thank you for joining us today, and best of luck again today on Thursday. Like you said, you guys are focused on Thursday. Best of luck today at practice, and of course, best of luck tomorrow as you guys face Overton in the first round of the playoffs.
Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Coach.
Have a good one, Coach. We're going to take a quick break here. When we come back, we're going to talk with Dustin Wilson, head coach of the Springfield Yellow Jackets on Main Street Preps North, brought to you by Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. We'll see you in a minute.
Just a few drinks. I'm good. I thought it was good.
After every game, we always have a few. It's no big deal. It was no big deal. Hey, I can hold my liquor.
I thought I could hold my liquor.
Welcome back to Main Street Preps North, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office, where fans don't let fans drive drunk. I'm Blaine Kellar, my now healthy co-host Brady McAtamney joining me today, and we'll continue on with our TSSAA state playoff football coverage, talking to a coach who's undefeated in his career through the first round of the playoffs, Springfield Yellow Jackets head coach Dustin Wilson. Coach Wilson, how are we?
Man, no pressure, huh, Blaine? Just open it right up.
Well, I know I mentioned that last year a little bit. And, after that first round game against Brighton, and, you kind of tapped me on the shoulder and you said, that's a we thing. That's a thing that Springfield football has done, not a thing Coach Wilson has done. As a team, how do you guys get that done against Memphis Central this Friday?
No, I appreciate y'all doing your work. That's what you guys are good at doing, and especially you, Blaine, and not taking that from you, Brady. Just Blaine fools with us a little bit more in the area. But, everything around here is we. And we'll get it done. And that's the approach we take to practice every day. We'll go to walk through today, trying to get it done again. And Memphis Central, good, athletic, fast, do some things that'll give teams fits, and you can't take a break on them defensively, or they'll run right past you. And their coach and their quarterback is the coach's son. So it always brings an interesting dynamic to high school football, because there's some extra practice and lessons going on at the dinner table.
Coach, this is a team that you guys faced in the second round last year. I believe that score was 27-0, with a power outage in there too, if I'm remembering right. How much different is that Memphis Central team on film last year compared to this year?
Yeah, what a game and experience last year. Put that one in the chapter 18 of the book I'm going to write when I retire. But yeah, all that was fun going through it. And then you have the power outage, and then you have to come back and you just learn stuff every game. But to answer your question, schematically, they don't look any different. They do the same things. Yeah, obviously, when you have high school football, there's no transfer portal. So some kids are gone. Some have stepped up. So their tailback that was had a lot of yards and getting some looks at Mr. Football, I believe, last year, graduated. But the coach's son, they're still the quarterback, and that they're pretty good up front. They're athletic up front, something that you don't see, the size and the kind of Pearl Conus, if you will, big and physical, and they pull everywhere, and they just, so schematically they don't look a lot of different. Just some kids are different, and coach is the same, and quarterback's the same.
Well, put me down for one pre-order of the Dustin Wilson autobiography, by the way. I would love to read something.
Brady.
I would love to read that.
Yeah, and they're probably not, buddy. If you listen to me talk, you probably know I can't write. But if we do have a bonfire one day, we'll have some stories to tell, that's for sure, and appreciate doing what y'all do and y'all's part in it.
All right, hey, I'll bring the crackers for the s'mores in that case.
You got it.
All right, so I know something that great coaches do. They don't like to look ahead. They like to focus on this week, and I know that that's exactly what you guys are doing. But it's impossible to not potentially think about a potential rematch with Henry County that could happen in a couple weeks with you guys. Of course, last year you beat them in the regular season, lost to them in the postseason. This year, lost to them in the regular season, and we have a potential rematch coming up in a couple weeks. Is that something that your guys have thought about, do you think? Is that something that they've talked about, is potentially getting back at the Patriots?
I mean, anybody that in the game of football, when you sign up for it, being a competitor, anybody that gets you want another shot at them. So I'm not going to say the kids ain't thinking about it, but I can just tell you they're not hearing it from their coaches. I would obviously give them a lot of credit for staying focused. And if that's their goal, then it's a pretty daggone good goal to have, because that's going to happen deep in the playoffs. But just to stay focused on one step at a time. And I think that's one thing that I know that Blaine didn't do that intentionally, but talking about how many years consecutive in playoffs and just the experience that the kids get from winning, and the extra practice, or these seniors as a freshman. We were on a bus ride to Cookville one time, and man, what a special one it is. So that memory stuck in their head, and those days we did it one day at a time too. So we got to walk through today to put our finishing touches on Memphis Central. And hey, if the boys are working that much harder to get after Henry County, more power to them. But they're not talking about it in front of us, and they're not hearing it from us. And we got to get Memphis Central. Yeah,
to make it to Henry County in a quarterfinal rematch, Springfield would have to beat Memphis Central, of course, and then either beat the Northeast or Munford winner in round one. And of course, Henry County would have to take care of their own business. But Coach, you kind of mentioned the senior class there. One player I wanted to talk about in particular, Devin Crenshaw, returning last week after resting versus Portland. I know you said he was available in that Portland game. He played last week. After sustaining that injury at Beach a couple weeks ago, what's the process kind of been for getting him back to 100%?
The process is training room oriented. That's unfortunately that's part of our sport. So you're going to have bumps and bruises, and you got to get in there and trust the trainer and trust the coach, and something that I'm sure it was very hard for him to do against Portland. But we felt like for what we want to do here and our goals, and that rest may have been more important for him to, you have setbacks. You may not ever get to 100%. So, taking the rest and it's just a guess. I mean, you just try to manage their health and their well-being, how healthy can we be? So we knew playoffs were in front of us, and we just wanted to be as healthy as possible. So that's what we did in Portland, and he looked good the other night against Northwest, and the score brought us an opportunity to play younger guys. So he didn't play. He may not played any in the second half, but he got a lot of passing going on, a lot of pass attempts. And we run the ball around, got some scrambles in. So him and Daniel's back is a big deal as we look pretty healthy here going towards playoffs.
Yeah, you kind of mentioned it there. And I will say it kind of looks like the Springfield teams of a couple of years ago over these past 2 weeks, I'd say, against Portland and Northwest. Really strong defense. I mean, the defense has been strong all year, but really emphasizing the run game. With Devin healthy, would you say that you're going to maybe rely on the run a little bit more with Daniels healthy too? Or is it still going to be more like it was early on in the year?
It's probably just about whatever Memphis Central defense presents us with, what can we do? So as a game plan, if you will, if that's what you're trying to get at a little bit, we got to have everything available. Even when Crenshaw went down, we did the same things. He's with Parker. Now, some he may do better and some he may not do as good, but our football team is going to do the same things, and that's just what comes with being a program, the consistency of coaches. And we're going to do the same thing and have the same things ready. And Memphis Central seems to blitz quite a bit, and they'll leave us tied up on the end. So, outside on the with the receiver. So we'll see what we can exploit. And there's only one way to figure that out, and that's when we get going in the game. And you just got to have your entire play sheet available to you. And with all those kids there, that sure does give the opportunity to call anything you want.
Coach, of course, you guys are focused on this first round game and moving on beyond that. But I wanted to ask you one more about looking into next season. Kenwood, Northeast, and Northwest planning on leaving Region 7 5A, moving up to 6A, and forming an all Montgomery County region for football. In your mind, if you've even thought about this, which teams do you think fill those spots in your region?
Yeah, I have to think about it. I mean, that's a little bit different scenario than looking ahead. Now, I can't tell you this tied up all my time because you're speaking on something that we can't control. The TSSAA puts it in front of us. That's what we got to go with. So still looking at it, you got to have conversations with people about games. My desire as an individual, as coach of Springfield, obviously, I want as many teams in the region as I can get. Getting games is brutal. Trusting people or coaches or programs or, and philosophies, whether they want to win or they want a good game or they want a good gate, whatever it is, I'll just have to use that word again. It's just brutal. I don't look forward to it. Scheduling's tough. But, to answer your question again, I know I'll get a little long way to talking about football. Appreciate you guys talking some football, a little normalcy for me. But, hey, man, it looks like it's SEC coming our way, right? Beach, Hendersonville, Portland, Springfield, Henry County. I mean, where are you going to put them and how are you going to put them? But bring it on. It sounds fun to me. And again, I just wish there was more people. That's the biggest challenge that we have. And with Beach, Henry County, and I've never dealt with Hendersonville since I've been here, but I know all three of us, myself, Counts, and Crabtree. It's hard putting the schedule together. So we've talked a little bit about it, and we'll just see where it goes. But yeah, we got to look into the future when it comes to scheduling, because if not, you'll look around and TSSAA will be sending you an email, and then you'll be behind the curve looking for games, and a lot of times some of those games you don't desire. So what do y'all think? Y'all give me an opinion. Y'all spend any time on it?
Well, honestly, Coach, I hadn't even considered. I knew that some Sumner County teams were moving down to 5A, but I hadn't even considered them moving into Region 7 5A. But as you said, that's probably as close to an SEC conference that you could get for mid-state high school football. Brady, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll admit I did have that thought, but I thought like, oh my gosh, that just sounds.
I think we lost Brady there. I think the word he was looking for was probably brutal.
Yeah. Well, when you do that again, I absolutely have no control over any of that. So that may be the most uneducated guess when you talk about those teams. But what are they going to do? There's a group that's in Metro. There's a group that's in Williamson County. All the Clarksville group just left, and then it goes all the way to Henry County, and then all the way to Memphis. So again, that's really why you don't spend a lot of time on it, because they've got to make a decision what's best for the association, and we'll just have to live with it.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you can look ahead and kind of think about and formulate as much as you want, but really right now, all you guys are focused on is today and then tomorrow against Memphis Central. Coach, thank you so much for your time and best of luck on Friday.
Yeah, appreciate y'all, fellas.
Thanks Dustin. Now that my internet is back, one more break before we get into our one thing, our game of the week, and our players of the week on the Main Street Preps North Show, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
It's just a few cocktails at happy hour.
You really good try.
There aren't any cops around. I didn't think there were any cops around.
I drink and drive all the time.
Sir, you've been in a serious crash. I need you to hang on, okay? Cover your hands, sir. You are right now?
Brady, I got to ask, before we lost you there, on your thoughts for Region 7 5A going into next year, was the word you were looking for there brutal? What was the word we were thinking about there?
Yeah, it's brutal. I mean, that's exactly what it is, right? I mean, Springfield, Hendersonville, Beach, Henry County. I mean, what else could you use to describe that other than brutal?
Yeah. Well, let's once again focusing on a little bit on the state playoffs and state championships that are happening this week, and let's look ahead a little bit to basketball. Brady, our one thing segment.
Yeah, so we got some basketball news out of Clarksville recently. Looking at our kind of roster building around here, the Rossview boys have added transfers Quaymon Lindsley from Northwest and Shanks Martin from Dixon County, who was their best player last year. I believe averaged about 15 points per game. He's a 6'7" guy. Those are going to be two huge additions for a Rossview team that was already looking like they were going to be pretty good this season. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing Rossview. Whereas for Clarksville High, some bad news for their girls team, as Angel Martin, one of their leading scorers from last year, moved to Montana. So going to be hard for her to play in Tennessee if she's all the way out there. And Milan Smith, another leading scorer for them last year, is out for a little while with a broken tibia. So going to be missing some players early on this season. But as long as Mari Berry's healthy, CHS is going to have a chance.
Yeah, they take a little bit of a hit there, but if they've got Amari Berry healthy, I think they've got a shot. Let's talk a little bit about the playoffs. Of course, we talked to Clarksville coach Isaac Shelby, Springfield coach Dustin Wilson. There are 5 playoff teams in Robertson County. Here's where they're playing. East Robertson hosts Polk County. As we talked about, Springfield will host Memphis Central tomorrow. Joe Burns plays at Whitwell, a team they faced last year in the first round. White House has a rematch at East Nashville of last year's Class 3A quarterfinals. And Greenbrier will head to Lexington to take the top-seeded Tigers on, hoping to give an upset to them with Nathan Robinson.
Yeah, a little bit of traveling going on there. Going to rack up a little bit of a travel bill. Whereas speaking of a travel bill, Northeast here, they got into the playoffs despite a little bit of a wonky regular season there with the forfeit against Northwest. They're traveling to the Memphis area. They're playing Munford, who is 10-0. But you can read my pick'em column on why I think Northeast has a chance there. Whereas Clarksville and Clarksville Academy both are going to be at home. Clarksville facing Overton, as we talked about with Isaac Shelby. Clarksville Academy facing Lakeway Christian, a team who I think is very much beatable for that team. So looking forward to a potentially successful day of first round playoff football in Clarksville.
Yeah, and that you'd love to see it, honestly, to get at least two of the three teams. I think they have a good shot of winning, depending on whether that's Clarksville Northeast or Clarksville Academy. I think each one's got a shot here. Let's dip a little bit into cross country before we get back into football. The A/AA meet for cross country, the state meet, that begins in a couple hours, right after we get done here. I'll be headed out that way, but talking a little bit about the AAA girls cross country meet. The lone qualifier from Robertson County being Springfield's Emma Lund, believed to be the first girl in Springfield history to qualify for the state tournament. Those records go back to 1975. So if somebody's got some more information that I'm not getting, please let me know. But, really interesting stuff there for Springfield. It's kind of shocking that they've never had somebody make it in all of those years. I think you're talking almost 50 years at that point. So a bit of history for the Jackets there.
Yeah, exciting stuff. I mean, that record book going all the way back to 75. That's a while ago. So if it'd be interesting to see if anyone actually does have information from before then. That'd be pretty cool to get. It's always cool when someone's got more knowledge than the actual record book itself.
Yeah.
But speaking of setting some records, we've got Mr. Football finalists came out about an hour or so before the show started. And someone who has just been on a tear in a couple different sports is a Mr. Football finalist here in Clarksville for Clarksville Academy. It's DJ Merriweather, the quarterback for the Cougars. He was, I believe, the two-way player of the year for us in baseball this past year as a pitcher and a hitter. Now a Mr. Football finalist. I don't have his exact stats on hand, but he has been absolutely tearing it up for the Cougars this year, racking up yards, both throwing and on the ground. Racking up touchdowns. He's been having an awesome year. Well-deserved Mr. Football finalist nod.
Yeah, Mr. Baseball semifinalist, I believe, or Mr. Baseball finalist, and then a semifinalist for football. On the Robertson County side, we've got one. I'm pretty sure the Springfield contingent isn't too happy to see Logan Leftrick or Devin Crenshaw not make the list, but East Robertson, Zach Prince is the lone qualifier, the lone semifinalist. He's got 1,453 rushing yards. He's averaging 9.6 yards a carry. 24 total touchdowns. The Indians are 9-1 and host throughout the TSSAA playoffs. So, I mean, if you were to look at a player among that star-studded roster that's led them to the success, it's Zach Prince.
Yeah, he's been excellent, really helping carry the Indians throughout the season. Looking at game of the week, I went with Clarksville and Overton. I think that's going to be probably the most competitive game out of the three. I think it's going to be a really good football game. Of course, metro schools are always going to be a challenge for any team just because of the speed, athleticism that they provide. CHS has been on a roll. They're playing potentially their best football right now. And of course, just it being at home, being in Clarksville is just very exciting.
Yeah, I think what surprises me most about Overton, they started the year 5-1, but those 5 wins were against teams with losing records. Yeah. Outside of McGavick. Sans McGavick, they have, wins. Their only wins have been against losing teams. So I think that's going to really give them a challenge, but kind of a similar situation here with East Nashville and White House, my game of the week. White House finding its footing at the end of the year against some less than stellar teams, beating Westmoreland, beating Stewart County, blanking White House Heritage last week, and East Nashville dropping 2 in a row to Riverdale and Smith County. It's a rematch, as I said, of last year's Class 3A quarterfinals. It should be a really defensive battle. I think White House is going to give them their best shot in the first round. It's going to be a fun one, I think. If you were willing to travel to Nashville, you should go to that one.
Absolutely. We'll knock off our players of the week here real quick. Mine's going to be Devin Geringer. We talked a little bit about him with Coach Shelby. He really controls the game for CHS. He only threw the ball once against Gallatin, but he also ran for 132 yards and a touchdown. Big numbers for a quarterback, especially for a team that runs the ball with 4 or 5 different guys. I mean, he just had an excellent game. Really is a great leader for that team.
Yeah, in Robertson County, I know I mentioned Zach Prince, but it's got to be Isaiah Groves against Whites Creek last week. He threw a 68-yard touchdown pass, rushed for 55 yards, and caught 1 reception for 5 yards. A DJ Merriweather-esque stat line, I'd say.
Absolutely. DJ Merriweather, Christian McCaffrey, doing a little bit of it all. But that'll do it for today's Main Street Prep's North show, brought to you by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office. Fans don't let fans drive drunk. We appreciate you guys tuning in, and we cannot wait to talk a little more playoff football with you guys next week.